Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I guess today we'll be picking up from where we left off at the last video. Now, there's a couple of things that need to get done during today's video. The original part of the process is going to the power plants and trucking through the power plants. The secondary notion of today's video is collecting a fossil. Okay, well, should probably get started then. It is interesting. It is interesting because the other day heard an interesting story. That someone got to mention about their experience at a church, and the recording that they retained to me sounded something like this. Priest walks up to the front. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the sermon. You should check out the YouTube channel on the internet. And when you get back home, you should check out the gaming channel. Anyway, in today's video, we're going to be understanding a character that I needed to fight tooth and nail to retain the license from. And that is the Bibular character, Samson. The Bibular character, Samson. See, Samson was an angry Bibular character because the alternate organization attacked Samson's family. They were upset because they attacked Samson's family. So what did Samson do? Samson got a bunch of wolves and attached torches to them and trained them to run through the farms. Train them to run through the farms of the Philistines. So the Philistines woke up the following cycle, and they didn't retain any food. They didn't retain any food, and they were kind of grumpy. They were kind of grumpy because all of their food was burned. All of their food was burned. All of their stocks of all their stocks of grain were burned. All their stocks of grain were burned. So what they did was they took Samson captive, and they gouged out his eyes. And they locked Samson in a temple. And they gouged out his eyes. What is really being implied? What is being implied by the alternate chapter is that Samson was underneath the temple. Samson was in the temple, though, yet was underneath the temple. And what they did was they attached C4s from the pillars from where they were and from where the temple was. And obliterated it, obliterating themselves and the temple, taking down the temple of the Philistines. Thus, because the temple was obliterated, the individuals and the persons lived in squalor. They lived in squalor. They lived in a perplexed way of existing. They were still existing, yet they were just totally perplexed and lost and suppressed. And disturbed. And anxious and paranoid. Anyways, here's the Robin. Here's the Robin character. Because I'm kind of like Batman, and this guy's like basically like Robin or something. Okay, yeah, I got this church spot. I got this church spot in order to voice something, which is that I'm not gonna go back to that cave. I'm not going to go back to that cave. I'm not going back to that chamber. I'm not going back to that dungeon. So don't read me to do it, because I'm not going to do it. Okay. Well. Oh, this is interesting music. Wow. Wow, this is fascinating music. Interesting music. Wait a minute. Is that... Oh, damn it. That's the police. I'm being taken away. God damn it. Is that Frank? Did Frank do this? Frank, you son of a bitch! And they get taken off by the police, and that's when the recording ends. Okay. There's that. How much time? Okay. Still not gotten to the power plants. Okay. Well, there's that recording. Okay, get Weeping Bell. Going away from the computer. Going away from the computer. Walk, 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 walk. Guess I'm gonna go over to the power plants now. Guess I'm gonna go over to the power plants. Cut down this tree. Yes. Just, cut down the tree. Cut down the tree. Okay. Go by these persons. Just gotta slink by these persons. Surf away, last story, surf away. Surf away. And this is the hidden location. Through the side, power plants. Let's figure out what this is. Cargos. Okay, we retained a Cargos, and we retained an attack. I guess it is a pocket mouse, so let me guess. Run away. There's something to understand about the wiring of... There's something to understand here, and this is the wiring... This is the wiring of the infrastructure. And the amplitude and frequency modulation, which is something to understand. And I guess a way to simplify a perplexing methodology. Either way, though, since I'm an imposter, Well, I guess since I'm an imposter, the only, probably some kind of sinister scheme is that the only thing that I understand about myself is that I hate math. I totally hate math. And I'm not going to try to understand math right now. Yikes. I'm not going to try to understand math right now. I guess Israel cannot fly here. At the power plant. See, figure out what's going on at this power plant. Okay, I'm gonna need to pause the video. Just gonna throw in some tobacco here. Some chewing tobacco. Yeah, I chew. there was an interesting transcription from the power plant from a prior transmission from someone with the hashtag Hansoyo. Hansoyo was the hashtag, and it just had there was a drowsy at a laboratory. They were listening to a transcription. And the transcription was reading, "I am recording this from underneath the screen. Again, I am recording this from underneath the screen." And the drowsy was figuring something out on the supercomputer that had to do with some kind of figure it was creating, where the eyes of the figure were they're like atoms or something. There's all these quantum dots bouncing around their eyes or something, and it's sort of interesting. And then the drowsy looked up and saw two persons that were they were criticizing, saw the people that were criticizing how everything was appearing. They're two British people walking about the town that the person might see walking about the town, and it just looks up and goes, well, here's a figure that maybe we can all get along with. And the two persons were just sort of shocked, and it was kind of comical. It was sort of comical, I guess. It was sort of a comical transcription. Okay. Well, this is interesting. I did not notice that before. I'm gonna be honest, I did not notice that before, and I guess this is the end of the power plant. False, this is not the end of the power plant, this is the start of the power plant. Okay. Walk. Going through the power plants. What an interesting thing. What an interesting place, the power plants. Again, at some point it would be interesting to retain some sort of frequency research. Although the sort of research that is being done here would likely retain something to do with the actual circuitry itself. The actual coal retainment itself, and the modulation of the electricity from such a source. Be incinerated by this. Over toxic. Then affects Aptos. Under thunder shock. Yikes. The Thundershock executor fainted. Yeah. Yeah. Again, this is not a Let's Play. So, when a Pokemon faints, still go for heal. Still go for heal. Okay, well, I guess that's it for us. Weeping Bell fainted. Wax is out of Pokemon. Wax blacked out. Well, I guess that took us out of the power plant. That was the end of the power plant. Anyways, I guess we'll go to the next point of the mission, which was retaining the fossil. We're now retaining the fossil. Okay. So there was a Let's Play. There was a Let's Play where went through this exact region, and made it through where all of the pocket monsters that ended up making it through the game did not faint, and if I'm not mistaken, Magmar was a pocket monster from that Let's Play, if I'm not mistaken. Check. That is, I guess that is factually correct. Magmar was a pocket monster from that Let's Play. Sort of interesting. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, this is where the fossil is retained. Okay. Talk to this scientist. My colleagues just ignored me. So I've got something. Take this to a Pokemon lab and get it examined. We don't have space for this. Well, then throw this away. Shh. This chunk of amber contains DNA. It would be if Pokemon could be from it. My colleagues just ignored me. Take this to a Pokemon lab and get it examined. Wax received the amber. Interesting information for that scientist. Now we fly to this island and figure out what sort of happens. Figure out what sort of happens here. I guess this is the laboratory. If I'm not mistaken, this is the room to hand the fossil to the boss over here. to the boss, which is a scientist. Here's a scientist, here's a scientist, and I'm figuring this is the scientist. Hiya. I'm an important doctor. I study here rare Pokemon fossils. You have a fossil for me? Amber. Oh, that is old Amber. It is a fossil of Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl. A Pokemon that is already extinct. My machine will make that Pokemon live again. Yes. So you hurry and give me that. Wax handed over the evil Amber. You go for a walk. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna talk to this scientist. Oh well. Oh well. Oh well, it was the scientist. Okay. I'm gonna walk out. I'm walking out. I'm gonna walk out of the laboratory. I'm gonna walk out of the laboratory and, Yep. 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 There we go. Okay, well, I guess that is where that is where this podcast ends, I guess. That's where this podcast ends, I guess. Figure out how this processing goes. Again, I'm researching this from below the screen. Again, I'm researching this from below the screen. Okay, well, thanks. Appreciate it.